There he is. There he is.
Hello, Skis. I was getting caught up responding to you, and then I realized you're probably helping.
So I'm filling out the application now.
Ah, wicked. Okay, cool. I was wondering.
You got accepted with this? Like, your motivation is we are building the commons, or did you write something else in the end?
No, pretty much that kind of stuff. I'm not sure what exactly I put, but yeah, it works.
It might be the attitude while filling out. See, the thing why I didn't want to do it is like I suck at these applications. Like I usually don't get it, but I will try. So.
I don't think it needs to be taken too seriously. They know that we're quite unruly, so
they're saying they're limiting the teams. So there's only 5 teams per track.
5 teams. Yeah, I think there is. Yeah. What track are you registering upon, or Team 2 on?
2, Nature.
Nature, because I think Griff was. I don't know. We
just sent Nature to me like 5 minutes ago.
Go with that then.
What was the other one? Oh, there he is.
The third team I think will be. You think the conviction voting team should go more to the inclusive banking one, and Nature 2.0 should be the third team?
Integration. I reckon so, but either or, to be quite frank, I would say that the Nature 2.0 Jan Peter will be cooperating with us a lot anyway because he likes what we're about, whereas the university fella, well, he wants to distribute contacts in 10 countries, etc. So that would probably be a good friend to make.
Wait, what do you mean?
That was in the lectures. So, like, they couldn't quite say what they were going to reward the winners with. But your man's apparently a fairly well-known, like, business guy in around places. And he's got contacts all over the world. And he's going to hook whatever the winning team is up with 10 different spots and bases. So it's just a good network is essentially the prize there. So
wait, you're saying
money, I think. All tracks have money, so yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, what do you think? It's more about like, what do you think conviction voting fits better for? Does it fit better for inclusive voting, or does it fit, inclusive banking, or does like the integration of all of the things fit better for inclusive banking?
They both work in either of them, to be quite frank. So it's whoever has the more beneficial network in that regard. And since we're competing in both tracks, it doesn't really matter. However, I would say get the conviction voting guys with the academics, or bait the academics with the conviction voting, because they'll distribute it around their network better. Jan's an electricity guy. The integration of everything probably suits that, I reckon. But
I actually was thinking in terms of conviction voting. I mean, I read Sargum's Python notebook about the topic, and it seemed like more complicated than I thought it would be, because I was actually thinking if we might give a shot at something like this at Paris. I mean, because so the question is, if it does not need the whole bonded curve shenanigans, like if it would just be some kind of conviction voting, that's maybe not to the full ideal of we could probably build that. Hey, Michael.
Hi.
Hey, Michael.
Hi.
Yeah, I think we should definitely go for it. I actually spent yesterday going through the details of how conviction voting will work. So, he put it in a bunch of math, which took a long time to explain and figure out, but I have it. So
nice.
We could definitely hack it together.
Yeah, maybe you can strip out all the parts that are inconvenient for us and just like arrive at like a substrate, and yeah, it would be awesome.
Yeah.
Well, It might be nice to start light with just a basic TCR in ETH Paris and then kind of wind it up.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
Sponek said he had some experience. I'm actually looking forward to checking out what he meant by that.
He said he spent a hackathon, like 10 hours basically hacking together TCR once. Well, hey, I think we have quorum. Shall we start with what we've been doing this week? So I can start because I have had a crazy week. Started with F Denver, and we won the F Denver hackathon, which was great. And I made lots of contacts and pushed forward a lot of our agenda. Really started to practice my spiel for like what we're working on with the common stack, the token bonding curves into a conviction voting module, all on top of Giveth. I think we made huge progress this week on that in general. I also went to Zargam's house for the last few days, and we did a couple deep dives into all of the details around this stuff. And I have basically I have a 2-pager that has all these notes. So I feel like we can actually start basic implementation if we have to. But more importantly, we also nailed down like what is the timeline and aligned on everything. So I feel confident that we can actually push forward with it. Other than that, let's see, there were endless phone calls trying to get people for the Odyssey hackathon. That really ramped up this week. I think we almost have the 3rd team complete, but Kai's working on the 2nd team, submitting it right now. I am in Tijuana and have just met our new dev, which actually most of you know. His name is Jorge. He came to DevCon with us. So he's going to start working 20 hours a week. Probably not this week. Well, actually this week, but then he might, and just because I'm here, but then he might end up needing 1 more week before he can finish all this, be full on with us, just to hand off the things he was already responsible for. Also, yeah, so I had a lot of calls with recruiting people for the hackathons, but also I had some working sessions with Jeff, lots of networking. Man, I thought I had more on my calendar, but Burning Man organizations and tickets are going through. There was some DAppNode. There was a lot of DAppNode thing. DAppNode is going to start its own hardware brand, and that we're calling Nodalers, the Nodalers. So that's going to be fun. But yeah, and then the Mozilla interview was really awesome. Also did a Griff Riff that is being promoted today, I think. And that's probably it. I had a few talks with Jordy and pushing things along, but I'll pass it. Oh, and I'm just. Do we do distractions? I'm distracted by just waking up and not having left the bed yet, and my intention for the meeting is just to have a good fireside chat. I'll pass it to Kai.
I'm distracted by Griff making me the what I did last week. I did quite a bit of communication. I don't have any notes. I did quite a bit of communication and Odyssey stuff. I'm filling out the application right now. And what else did I do? Yeah, I actually pushed the wiki through little stuff. Yeah, there's not. Maybe look at what I did on GitHub better than me right now. I'll pass it off to Josh so I can finish this before we start.
The intentions is to catch up, see what's going down. Always just dial in, realign. Expectations to learn more, really, I guess. Distractions, all the stuff in my head about Odyssey and taking notes. I'll pass it off to Chris.
Oh yeah. You wanted to still say something, Josh?
Yeah, I missed about what we were doing this week, but
go ahead.
Doing this week was just kind of herding cats, telegrams, riots, spreadsheets, and kind of just Odyssey juggling as well. Yep, that's it. So I'll pass it back.
Okay. So yeah, intention, otherwise I'll also forget at the end. Intention is to just sync and catch up with everyone, and distractions is listing some to-dos I still have to do today. So what did I do? So yeah, I attended the Mozilla call, and after editing first the document, adding some more questions, I also live tweeted a little bit during the event. Before that I had a meeting with Peter, Jan Peter from Nature 2.0 track of Odyssey, and we had an interesting discussion on like storytelling possibilities for Giveth. We'll like letting that one digest a little bit to see how it fits in what's now happening with everything that's token bonding curves and so on. But I think there's a possibility there. Then there was the communications meeting, which I found really interesting because we're shifting gears to what Griff also just mentioned. I've learned a lot this week about token bonding curves and curation markets by talking a lot with Jeff, who's been here one day and like yesterday evening, where we were like just preaching to the people about what we're doing and getting critical and good skeptical feedback. I also watched the Griff riff and I shared it, so you have a direct link to it, Griff. I was thinking of possibly not sharing it and promoting it too much on Reddit and in our channels, in the sense that the quality is really bad of the stream. But the content is really good, so it's recommended. I did a little GitHub review. I took the time to do a good roles review thing for myself and like voting on other people's contributions. And I think, and then I'm now gonna like dive into like reviewing the text Abby wrote for the thing we won at Denver, and I think rest of the week will be also token bonding / Odyssey hack themed. And I give it to Michael.
Thanks, Chris. So yeah, my intentions for the meeting, just have a good meeting, good fireside chat. Not really distracted, although lots of snow here today, so lots of snow clearing going on. And this week, while I was at ETH Denver, so it was really amazing to catch up with some of the Giveth team. Finally got to meet some of you face-to-face. And we even had a face-to-face DApp meeting at the ETH Denver, which was fun because RJ was there and Wojtek was also there. Griff and Bowen joined the meeting. Did a lot of networking while I was there, which is great. Also, just lined up some of the speakers that were coming to this event on March 29th in Montreal. So it was a great opportunity to meet some of them face-to-face and just kind of make sure that they're definitely attending. And then also spent some time just with Chris on those questions for the Mozilla chat and organizing that, making sure that happened, and following up with Josh and Bruce on which is now going to be taken and put it into a podcast. And also just checking in with Danny now that she's back, and we're just kind of gearing up for this release testing. So figuring out that process so we have it nice and solid. And you saw the naming structure. Some of you guys have been suggesting some amazing ideas around that. Yeah, just other comms meeting, role stuff, things like that. I'll pass it off to Danny.
Hello. My intentions are just to share a little bit with you and then hear what I can before I have to drop off. My distraction is that I'm on my way to a meeting right now. I was a little low key for the first part of the month, but everyone probably didn't follow enough. I've been really looking at what everybody's doing and what milestones are out there from the Giveth support side. And then also the second one is working with all the contributors and beta users, working through all the different milestones that are there and campaign improvements and promotions and marketing. I've been getting a lot more on the Twitter and the LinkedIn and sharing all the different stories that are out there. Doing my best to pay attention to all the different channels, because that's something I can do as I'm moving about, is read more. So that's been really fun to get caught up on what's going on in the ecosystem a little more too. Roles, I appreciated Loi's new form, and then did a little sesh yesterday. Been working with a few different people of our beta users. You saw they're looking to access some of our data analytics to really look at how we're using our marketing power and stories and media in the best way possible. And the other part is Reward DAO. Wrote up the process for how to create milestones, or how I do that as the campaign manager, and how people can create their own milestones. Tested the process this month, got 3 people who created their own milestones, and we're putting together some improvements by doing a little more automation on PointsBot, and then looking at how we can improve the video creation process. Yeah, and then the release, I'm really excited about around testing the release and getting that out to our user base with some time frames, and really letting them know all the great improvements we have right now, and getting it into a place where folks feel comfortable having their donors come check it out and donate some funds. That's what I'm doing. I'll probably be on the call for another 15 minutes, and then I'll have to drop off. I'm just scrolling to see who I heard speak. I'm not sure who's left.
I haven't gone yet.
Great. Okay, then you, Lorelai. Thanks.
Yay. And Danny, will you also be busy during the next hour slot after this?
Yeah, this meeting got pushed. It was supposed to be at 11:30, and now it's at 12:30. So I'll definitely be late.
Wait. I'm sorry, I'm just asking if you're going to be at the roles meeting.
Right, and I'm saying I will be there, but I'll probably be late.
Oh, I see. Yeah, because
yes.
I don't know what 30 means.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah,
no.
Yeah, my intention is to be there, but I think I'll be late for sure.
Okay, thank you. Good to know.
Yeah.
I am, let's see. I'm intending to... I guess I'm excited to have a conversation about the Reward DAO and Wall of Fame. If there's fireside chat, I know it's just a thread right now, but that was kind of the topic that was interesting to me this week. So since we have a chill meeting, I'm interested in that. That's my intention. I'm a little distracted by trying to manage people's late feedback on the roles sheet, and try and read that so that I can be useful to you guys in the hour following this. And what did I do this week? I was at Denver Hung out with the team, sort of supported them. I worked on the roles process a lot and pushed a roles form and communicated with people a lot about them, reminded them to participate, and I hosted a little roles hangout work sesh. I had some conversations with Wojtek to just kind of understand what's next for him, and where he's moving forward with his projects, and to to have something good to sort of publish a conclusion to our community a little. And I hung out with Griff and Zargum, and that's all I need to say for now. And Josh, did you go yet? You're muted. Oh, you did go.
Sorry, I'm taking the notes. Yeah.
Everybody went.
Okay.
But Griff is offline.
Yeah,
he has a spotty connection.
Yeah.
So let's see on the agenda where we can do this little one, sharing Google Analytics with DataFund, because that was my Lumio anyway. Very quick, if you caught it in the chat, DataFund Society, our friends that Dani onboarded recently, they just they have a huge community. I took over, Griff, because you dropped off there. Yeah, they are a great community, big community, and they want to see how many people access their page or their campaign page and see how stuff is flowing. So the easiest is to give them view access to our Google Analytics, so the proposal is actually give one person of DataFund view rights to our Google Analytics. Any questions of clarifying?
Yeah, shall we build the agenda perhaps first? But that's the first topic on the agenda then.
Yeah, I wanted to, in the absence, just start with some stuff because we have a lot of stuff to go through in the end with the roles meeting coming up. I would suppose we talk about this now, and then if Michael wants to do the debt prioritization, because that never gets any time, probably we.
No, we do that in the DAP meeting normally, I guess.
Okay, cool. I mean, we don't have anything on the agenda really, except that there haven't been many Lumios, or at least the ones.
Well, Griff
picked.
Griff was proposing to that this would be mostly fireside chat, and just to impromptu sort of make an agenda for the fireside chat.
Okay.
All right. So topics.
I'd love to talk about Reward DAO and Danny's Lumio thread.
Reward DAO, yeah.
Especially before she leaves us.
Any others?
Yeah. I don't know if it's too early. I mean, I just posted this Lumio about the UNICEF stuff, but I think it would be a good fireside chat topic. And the other one is the naming structure.
Cool. Cool, we got loads there. Anything pressing? Extra I'd like to add?
So I'm sorry, because it's a very quick thing. Can we continue with the thing? Is there any question about the permissions sharing? So no. Yeah, please.
Oh, I was just saying it's good. I think that motion is passed, right?
Oh, great. Yeah. So, okay, let's do it the other way around. Does anybody have any crazy feelings about this? Otherwise, we're going to go to the next point.
So we don't do the normal reaction round and everything?
Yeah, there is no blocking. It was just in Griff's agenda. If you want to react, like, please react.
Okay, yeah, I didn't know that we only did it if it was blocking, but yeah, my reaction is yeah, for sure. I just wanted to add like if it's possible to only give them view rights to their specific part, that would be cool. I don't know that if that is possible. The only reason, yeah, the only reason I was saying it is because like if we would have in the future many, then like yeah, they might not like that everyone can see everything. But yeah, we're gonna probably build a new thing in the future anyways. So yeah, all good. I give it to no, if we don't do a round, then I give it back to Kai.
Okay, does anybody else want to react? I will just amend this in a way. If you read the Lumio, we really want to have this stuff in the DAB anyway, down the line. So I think this will be solved by our own software, and there is not really a problem with like they cannot do any changes, whatever.
Yeah, I think it'll be cool to see what they end up doing with it, and we'll learn a lot just by watching them do it. You know, I mean, they are data fund, right? So I'm sure they'll show us something cool to do with the data.
Yeah,
true.
What was the reaction of Wojtek? I don't know if he still responded, Kai, to like if he's working on other ways of integrating analytics.
He said he's building something now for blockchain for humanity that we could then fork back.
But it's not the graph.
No, that's another thing. But I'm looking for opportunities with the graph. The graph is just a piece of Ethereum infrastructure that got like finished into a usable state. So they are now visiting all those hackathons and making tracks for, hey, use the graph and make your DApp use the graph. And what it does is actually it kind of takes it takes that part of the Ethereum chain that is your application and makes your data easily accessible in a query format. And then you can build some statistics out of that. And the good thing is that because they just started, they basically fund integration right now. That's all I know. I have never like spoken to them or just observing from internet.
If you want to get connected to the graph, they're pretty deep in our. I know them really well.
This is also a good thing for F Paris probably that I keep on the whatever. If they make a track at F Paris, we could also like do this for fun if we want. Yeah. Sorry, Griff, we did not do like a normal round. This was like a crazy round. Of course, you're gone. Everything breaks down. And
no, I'm sorry. I have to do it on my phone. I don't know why my computer won't let Jitsi work, but but yeah. So did we build an agenda like because there wasn't other than the weekly DApp review and the Lumio that we just talked about briefly, which had a unanimous yes. There really wasn't anything on the docket today. So does anyone have?
I had said that before Danny leaves, I'd love to talk about this reward DAO like Lumio thread that she posted. It's not a decision yet, but I'm confused about what she's really saying. I think it would be a good conversation to have.
Okay. Any other agenda topics that people want to bring up?
Can you read them?
We have them. We had the Lumion Data Fund, which we've just gone through, I think, in a crazy round. Then on point 2, we had that prioritization. Point 3, reward DAO in Danny's Lumio. Point 4 was UNICEF stuff by Michael, and point 5 was naming structure, and I can't remember who proposed that or what it is about.
Okay, I'm going to propose that we talk about Danny's thing first because she's leaving.
Yeah.
We have an agenda. Danny, so you made this Lumio thread and about how do we evolve the Wall of Fame. I know there's been some issues with for users. Like, what are you thinking? What do you think proposals will come out of this?
Well, there's some small, simple proposals that I put together that are point spot automation that give people information once they get dished points, helping them with the video process. And then once they create a video, an email that gives them information about how to create their own milestone. So those are some simple improvements that I've already been talking to Frederick and Eli about as we go through this process together, and we can do that. My bigger issue is that the Wall of Fame, the concept is awesome. I love the whole idea of it. What I don't know is if we're getting any benefit out. People are actually even looking at it, and the amount of time and effort that I know I spend, and I know Lindsay spent before me, helping people try to get a video up is enormous. The more people have problems with posting a video than have a success posting a video. And there's some kind of caching issue. Frederick just put some time into it and fixed something. One of my biggest problems that I was having is now fixed, but other people still experience that caching problem when they go to the fame.giveth.io website. And then once they do get there and attempt to upload a video, most people fail. Most people aren't able to get their video to go up properly. So my question is, you know, from a historical perspective, I don't know for sure, but what I thought I heard was that Wall of Fame was a solution because we didn't have video capability in the milestones. So now that we have video capability in the milestone, we need to reevaluate those reasons for why we have it, whether the benefit is still there to continue supporting it and developing it, or whether that effort is better spent creating some other process that encourages people to do the milestones and then takes those videos and puts them up on the Fame wall if that's a possibility. And I don't know the technical aspects of that. I just want to make sure whatever energy we do put towards evolving it is the best, what we agree is the best use of resources.
Yeah, I thought we were letting the Wall of Fame die. I thought that was the plan for many months, and that people just make milestones by creating a video directly on the DApp, and that's it. The Wall of Fame is like not even. I didn't even know that there was still a push to keep the Wall of Fame part of the equation. I thought the push would be, oh, hopefully we can find a way to take the videos from the DApp and put them on the Wall of Fame. But, like, we're not promoting the Wall of Fame. It's like, it almost feels like a dead project.
Right, and that's been what's been discussed, and that's why I'm putting this forth. We put up the form. We put the form up to collect user feedback, and I've been working with folks, and this is my feeling is I don't think we're getting the benefit out of the friction it takes to run it. But I want to get this Lumio going to hear if anybody has concerns with that. And what I heard is there are people who really feel like we put a lot into it, and it's a beautiful thing. So that's why I want to hear some consensus and see if there's other ideas or any blocking issues why we shouldn't do that.
Okay, I was wondering, God, and I feel like I've asked this question before. I'm sorry if I'm being redundant, if the answer is already out there. But so we have this function of making videos directly in the milestones. Can those videos just auto-populate to the Wall of Fame when they're made in a milestone?
I don't know the answer to that. I don't know how that would happen technically. But if that's the approach we want to go, I'd like to write up a proposal and create a milestone for it and maybe bounty it or whatever we do to give somebody the opportunity to solve that.
I do think that, like, in like the Wall of Fame, like the concept of this really matches like the type of project that we are, and for people to be able to like connect with Giveth in a way that is engaging. I mean, you guys remember that salty UX audit that that Wojtek paid for, and like a lot of it was about how like, you know, the home pages of our DApp were like so not like inviting, they're not engaging, and when you look at these platforms that do draw people in, oftentimes they look like the Wall of Fame, right? Like there's like videos of people doing actions, and you can just click on faces, and it's like exciting and engaging user experience that like builds that community feeling and like connection to the purpose and stuff. So I do think that the concept of it has a lot of merit in the project that we're building, maybe not in its current iteration. And I could see how right now, like since we're sort of in a lull, maybe it makes sense to just like sort of table it or not make it a requirement. But yeah, exactly.
I don't think it's something the Unicorn DAC shouldn't fund, right? Like if you make, I definitely think that we should stop wasting all our efforts trying to get people to upload a video that no one will ever see. So whereas the other side of things is, oh, you can actually get random users beta testing the DApp, which has a lot of wins, instead of beta testing a website that we don't really fully support. There's just one community member kind of supporting it. However, that doesn't mean that we can't create a milestone for Frederick to like find a way to rip all videos that are ever uploaded off the DApp into the Giveth Wall of Fame, and then the Wall of Fame has all these videos auto-populated without having to have users deal with caching issues or any of that, because it would just happen in the back end. I think that makes sense. We just got someone's got to run with it and make a milestone for Frederick, or have him make a milestone to do it. We got to get funding to it, and it can happen. But then the other piece of that is we need to get buy-in from Chris and the comms department to actually keep promoting the Wall of Fame or make it something that people care about and will see, because if we don't follow through on that, then we're still wasting our money having anyone update the Wall of Fame. So,
yeah, I think I think I agree with that it's not really, it doesn't make a lot of sense to invest more if we're not going to use it. And so I've already spent quite some time like working with Deem before, and then like now having Frederick also fixing some bugs to just make it work so that it's easy for people. But the thing that Deem never really got to working entirely is that you when you share the video, that you have a preview of the video. The only thing he could get was that you have like an image we put in there of like a screenshot of like a lot of videos, and it's always the same screenshot. For me personally, I would say that that's not good enough to like use it as an active promotional tool and to say like, hey, Danny just made the video to say what she did for this week. And even if that would work, I'm not even sure if it's something that that people would be so interested in watching all the time. So long story short, I think it's one of the things that I agree that we can let die. Just auto investing, like paying someone again to like, yeah, let's extract everything or let it auto populate the Wall of Fame if nobody is visiting the Wall of Fame. And if we're not actively promoting it, I don't think that's so beneficial to us. I think for me, I kind of said goodbye when we put out the post explaining what the tech was, Fame, and where the repo was, so that if people want to use it for their project, they can. And so I would say like my recommendation would be just like we change the message on top saying like, hey, it's now possible to upload your videos of what you did for Giveth in the DApp directly. You can do this here, and you put a link to the DApp so that, as Griff said, that they can just like actively use it and test it. But we keep the Wall of Fame up just so like showing that it's there, but I wouldn't actively invest in it anymore. That's my recommendation.
Awesome. So I'm here, and I got to drop off the call now. My intention in doing the Lumio was to run this kind of through an advice process and hear what you all are thinking. And I have been working with Eli on some possibilities and all the different things that would have to be tweaked to give the recipients the information that they need each month in order to create their milestones. So there's process changes and spreadsheet and information changes that go along with this, and I have them kind of roughed out already. So I'm grateful that you all wanted to talk about this and share your feedback, and I'm going to write up a proposal and update that into the Lumio.
You can definitely loop me in on what people need to do for milestones. You'd be surprised at how little information they need to make their milestones successfully now with the newest updates on the release branch. So just make sure that you're for the release branch.
I had a feeling a lot of that was shifting, you know, needing to know those exact amounts and all of that, and the triggers. So I will definitely check in with you. Thank you all. It was super great to see you and hear you all, and I'll be back onto the roles meeting in a little bit.
Cool. And hey, Danny, I just also wanted to say, like, if you would work on a 1, 2, 3 step guide after checking with Griff and so on. I love doing or tweaking 1, 2, 3 step guides, how-tos for the wiki. You can always send it to me for if you want some help.
Okay, it's already done, and several people have used it and tested it. So I'm going to make a few changes, and then I'll publish it up for more reviews before we finalize.
Perfect.
It. Thank you. Okay.
Okay, well, I think that means we go to our next topic, which is DApp prioritization. Does anyone have anything they want to talk about on that?
I'd get up for the DApp meeting, to be honest.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I will say that there is something that's worth noting is that the DApp prioritization has changed the way that we do it. So you vote. Number one, it's very much a practice of it's an experiment for conviction voting. So the way conviction voting works is everyone who's a participant gets to add options. So that means if there's a bug that you want to see on the DApp prioritization, you need to add another option. You need to actually do it and add it yourself, right? The other piece is that when DApp issues get fixed, they'll get removed. And so every week or whenever you want, your votes can be edited. The problem is Lumio has like kind of a buggy interface for editing your options. You have to kind of scroll down and find the edit response button, which is hidden a little bit. It's like in the middle. You have to scroll to it. And then it pops up this box. And that box is like, what the fuck? I can't do anything. Well, actually, you can scroll to the right. It's like working with the manage thing in our DApp, how it used to be when we had all the actions hidden behind this. You have to scroll the whole box to the right, and there's a change your vote button. And so every week now, instead of a new one where you're going to be alerted in your email and all of that, you actually need to well, maybe there's ways to send alerts to people, but you need to be active on this one and actually go add things and change your votes, because as issues get done, they will be removed from the list as well, and I believe Michael is managing that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to send a weekly reminder anyways, just like before. So just on Wednesday, and I think we should just mention at the community meeting every week, just as a reminder that this is ongoing. But at this point, you can edit anytime. There's no, you don't have to just wait until every Wednesday to Friday to edit. It's an ongoing process. And as Griff said, when those items get removed, what happens is you'll still see the points. You don't lose those 10 points or 5 points you allocated to a task that's now removed and closed, but actually it'll just kind of show it next to kind of a blank option. And then you just hit subtract and you can claim those points back and then put it onto something else. So you'll always have 50 points at any time, and you can just shift them around as items get resolved. And then we'll just take on the Friday, we'll just, whatever is, you know, the prioritization at that point in time, we'll just take a snapshot of that, and then we'll prioritize, you know, as we can, what are the top issues, and put them into the sprint backlog from then on. So it's, as Jeff said, it's kind of a recommendation engine for what should be the prioritized tasks for the week.
Cool. Anyone else have any questions on that?
It is one thing, just a suggestion, because I was thinking too much in hackathons maybe right now, but it feels like a very cool thing to actually make such a thing, like conviction voting with GitHub issues. It's very data compatible, you know. Just throwing it out there. This could be doing what we do now in Lumio, actually making that as a piece of software would be a cool little project.
Yeah, I think so. And yeah, I mean, I think it could be, I mean, Lumio is open source. You could even hack their dot pool and, you know, see, you could even fix Lumio and make this work for Giveth, because like it's pretty bad in the way it is now.
That's a great suggestion.
But I'm excited. If you're excited about conviction voting, we should have a meeting so I can explain all the stuff that Sargam explained to me.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, let's move on to UNICEF stuff. Whose point was this? Maybe
that would be me. So I posted a Lumio. I can just sort of go over what it is. But so basically, I saw this call for proposals from UNICEF, and basically they're created a new grant opportunity, anywhere between $50,000 to $90,000 equity-free investments to companies, noted. And part of that grants program is they have a section around tokens, and they describe it as, can crypto tokens work to incentivize or support behavior that benefits humanity, which sounds a little bit like the kind of thing that we're trying to do to create incentives around token bonding curves. And so what I was thinking was, I mean, it's sort of a bigger question. And I mentioned it, you know, it's a little bit like the Mozilla question, right? It's Mozilla and Google, and that Mozilla is sort of battling Google, but at the same time, they're receiving funding from Google to keep them alive. And so in a way, it's very similar to us with UNICEF. In a sense, we're trying to change UNICEF and those types of organizations, maybe even, you know, dismantle them and create new types of organizations. So, you know, the question is, you know, does this make sense for us to apply for a grant from an organization that we actually want to change or you know, to create something new? Does it hurt our reputation in any way by doing that? And then I guess the last part of it is the grant themselves. There's two parts to it. The grant themselves has to be in one of the UNICEF supported countries. That's really basically a list of developing countries. So we would have to have a partner. Now, I know one group in Nepal, I've mentioned a group before, which is a group of 60 programmers. They do all sorts of stuff, and they're a company, but they're basically a for good company. And they have a legal entity. So it could be a way for us to avoid having a legal entity, but through a partnership.
Is Mexico on the list?
I didn't check, but my guess is yes, but I can check while we're in this call. And then, yeah, that's a great idea to partner with the guys in Tijuana, maybe. And then the other thing I heard, and I don't know where I heard it, but I think UNICEF was trying to get in touch with Giveth at one point too. So they also have an innovation lab whereby you don't have to be in a developing country. It's just they support innovative work. But I just wanted to throw it out there because I think we've been having that conversation on and off for a while, and Griff had said, well, maybe you should put it into a Lumio and get some feedback. And since it's a bit early for results. But since we're having this fireside chat, I just thought I'd throw it out and kind of like to hear what other people think about this.
I would like to know, just as a clarifying question, what do you think? Because I'm not writing grant applications that are this huge. Like, how much work do you think it is to actually apply there? And
good question. I didn't actually look at. Sometimes grants can be a lot of work. My guess is this is not a lot of work. However, I mean, 50 to 90,000 isn't necessarily a lot of money either, right? I mean, it is and it isn't. I mean, we received a $40,000 donation, the other day. Those don't come in all the time in the crypto winter, but 50,000, you can burn through 50,000 pretty fast. But it's really more of a institutional kind of question for Giveth in terms of our direction and what we want to do.
Sorry, Kai, did that answer your question? Because I have something. Okay. This brought up a thought for me that's curious where the UNICEF connection came from, because you said that UNICEF had been trying to reach out to Giveth, and I'm curious, were they trying to reach out to Grace and Wojtek efforts, or were they trying to reach out to us? Who made those connections?
That I don't, and I can't remember where I saw it. I actually thought the reason I mentioned it is just I saw it recently, and I thought I saw it in the Riot chat, but I need to see where it was. It wasn't from Wojtek, but I know Wojtek. Obviously, Grace and Wojtek and those guys have been talking to or probably even lobbying UNICEF. To my knowledge, that they probably are. I don't know that for sure. So, I didn't. We talked to Christina, but I definitely didn't try to lobby them until we kind of are clear ourselves where we're headed.
Sure. And this is related to another issue where, as we now have this brand divergence, one of the key pieces to doing that in a good way, I think, is honoring which connections to Giveth came out of relationship building that was really done by the more blockchain for humanity piece of our community, and which ones were done out of relationship building by those of us who are really into gamification and replacing the model of giant charities, and not even for the reason of being one is better than the other, but just to be good in how because they basically have given up the use of this name. Yes. And a lot of past relationships, right, that were built with people that are now reaching out to Giveth or now have the connection with Giveth. And so I think it's important to know which
I don't necessarily I just
and Danny has offered to take on that role, and she's excited about that.
I can say that I'm pretty sure that this UNICEF connection came from Denver, and UNICEF interviewed Abby about her thing.
Okay, yeah, maybe that was it.
And that's where the word was. I think Abby said, "Hey, we love the UNICEF wants to talk to you guys," But that's it. I don't think there's anything.
I also wanted to say, I think that's the beauty of actually having the separation, because both were Giveth still. It's kind of the first can come and then the other one is hey, dude, what are you talking about? We're already supporting Giveth for 2 years now. And when we separate, we actually enable us to really, if we're both interested in keeping in contact. And I also think that that will spin out of, make their own thing in the end. So right now it's not so clear, but maybe in a year it will look very different. So just for the bridge building, I think yes, we can still talk to everybody, and yeah.
But just to be clear, though, it's 100% clear that the I guess Blockchain for Humanity Wojtek group have zero interest in token bonding curves from the conversations I've had with Wojtek. And so if we did anything with UNICEF, it would be very distinct from anything that they may want to do. They're not interested in that stuff. So I don't think we have to worry about, like, you know, are we each going to step on each other's toes? We won't. Their directions are going in very clearly different directions now to me. So it's really more of, if you separate the Blockchain for Humanity side for a second and just look at this as a grant opportunity, imagining this is just Giveth and UNICEF, where do we stand on that? That's really the question. And it's, you know, I have no strong opinions here. I'm just throwing it out there because I'm interested in, you know, finding ways to find funding for Giveth and strengthen our direction around token bonding curves. It just seemed like an opportunity. That's all.
Yeah, and since no one's really taking the bait, I can say, like, I don't have any issue taking money from anyone at this point. We're desperate. At least that's how I feel. But I do want to avoid creating a legal entity, and I don't necessarily think 50 to 90K is worth creating a legal entity. Now, if we can make a partnership with someone who has a legal entity, like Ora Libre, and they'd be willing to, like, take this money and use it as funds for, you know, something that we can, you know, and manage it for building out XDAI or something like that, then maybe. But that takes a lot of groundwork to build. So in the end, we're just not really structured to take money through a legal entity.
Right. So Mexico is in their list, by the way, Griff.
It's even the fiat problem, right? Sorry, just a little. It's not. We don't have a bank account. We are not a legal entity. The problem is that it's a fiat grant. I think that might be the biggest issue, actually, in the whole thing.
Well, we can. Yeah, Josh, you wanted also to say something. I'm stopping because Josh.
I was just going to say that it looks like a rather tasty opportunity, and I need to keep my head above water and the lights on. So I'm quite tempted to go and spin something up and chase that grant money as a one-man show, and maybe we can cooperate through that kind of thing, provided I actually make it through their gates.
I mean, you'd have to start a legal entity in a developing country.
I know.
Yeah, I would. Yeah. Josh, I mean, just to be real about this, you would have to have probably been an established legal entity for a period of time. So my guess is, like, it would be like these guys in Nepal, or it would be the folks in Mexico would be like the people that we know well enough to create a partnership. So it would be like, and probably the best one would be the folks in Mexico, that they would take on the legal responsibility, and then they could just outsource, you know, some of the work to Giveth to advance. So in a way, it could be like helping to pay the salary of our dev, for example, could be part of it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think indeed, like, if Josh wants to help, Michael, if you wouldn't have the time to look into it, I would take the help. Like, let's look into it at least, and then we can indeed use established entities that exist. It's indeed not worth, like, creating our own entity, and we don't want to do that anyways. But I very much agree with Josh's sentiment. Like, I'm like, again, like, I'm not going to claim the 150 from the Unicorn DAC. I'm trying to do it not too much. I feel guilty most of the time when I claim a salary because it's all coming out of Griff's pocket. So any opportunity that we have to get money, let's please chase it.
Yeah, I'm curious about Lorelai's opinion, because I know she has a strong opinion about taking dirty money, or money that's not, this isn't dirty money, but money that's not necessarily aligned with the vision, you know?
Well, I have been following some groups that are like acting out really strongly against this lately. That's probably what Griff is referring to. And I mean, I'm curious what strings there are and what UNICEF would get out of it, right? Like, what does it do for them to have our name as someone that they're supporting? And even looking on down the line, like if Giveth is huge and really revolutionary, you know, what does that do for their brand, and do they deserve it? Does that make them look like they're working towards something that, you know, behind closed doors they're also working against? I also like believe in the Robin Hood thing, and I think it's also a great strategy of like you know, decolonization work to become a funnel, right? Like a channel for money coming from the super like corporate world and funneling it towards shit that really matters. But in that case, it almost made me think, I feel like this grant should partly go to maybe campaigns that are on RDAP that are really influential on the ground, and not just go to our development, because otherwise it's just another jerk-off fest of like charities that have, you know, some idea that they're gonna save things. And I don't know, maybe we're not any different if we're not like using the opportunity to channel those funds towards like on the ground work and only using it to like build our idea.
Yeah, I mean, if those funds are being given with the strings attached, being we need to create a token system, like, you know, the thing that we're trying to build anyway, then giving them the Grace Aid or something doesn't necessarily work, is what I would say. But the Nepal option or the Mexico option, or finding a way where these funds don't necessarily go to us, but they do stay in the country that we use for the legal entity, does feel more aligned with integrity, you know. So
yeah.
Right. I mean, you know, the way it could work though is that it's a partnership, right? So we would be partners with another organization in the global south, and I mean, I don't think you could create a project and then channel money to a charity and just give money to a charity. I think they're really trying to, you know, have a very focused project idea that they would fund. But you know, the funds we could, I mean, if we wanted to kind of keep integrity, the funds could, and I actually think UNICEF would probably put a constraint on us too. I don't think you could have money channeled to Mexico and then go channeling back up to people in the north, for example. That's, I'm sure they're going to put blocks on that kind of stuff. Rightly so, I think. But I think we could use it to do things like help to fund a developer or developers in Mexico or Nepal to do some of that work. Pardon?
I think I also know some in Delhi.
Right. And for the reputation for UNICEF, I think it's already kind of clear, right? We saw at ETH Denver, for good or bad, UNICEF is getting more prominence in the ETH Denver community anyway, because UNICEF was on stage as one of the key judges for the final round. So they're building their reputation. So you can definitely see they're trying to carve out a space for them in this area, for, you know, for good or bad.
okay, so it's 7:02. We can call the meeting, or at least I should definitely let people go if they want to go. Oh, actually, yeah, because we have a roles meeting, right? So Lorelai, should we check out right now, or should we just roll into the roles meeting?
Is there anybody who's not coming to the roles meeting who's in here? Okay, well, oh.
Could we possibly, because last time I saw, I don't know if it was, I think it was also the case with the rules meeting, really stop the live stream, because last time when we did it, it still was one video in the end. So
The problem with that is that it has to switch to a different person live streaming. I'm pretty sure.
No,
time.
we are using the same, as long as we're using the same stream key, it will be the same video. And I'm not sure what the time period is. We're talking maybe 10, 15 minutes for...
Yeah, it's basically like, it's like YouTube is trying to be smart, and it's like, oh no, we lost connection to the stream. Oh, it just started again, and it picks it up, and it's like, oh, okay, well, good. Like, now we'll make sure that it's still one video for these guys. So we could stop it. We could stop it, but then we need to wait like 5-10 minutes.
There is at one point I was able to split videos into two, but it's very scary because you kind of like scrap half of the video, and then I was unsure if I should continue the last time I tried to, but I actually did this before, so we should be able to split the video. Just look it up. And I think we can go with roles meeting.
Roles meeting. Who's leading the roles meeting?
I have just one thing. Today is my partner's birthday, and we actually have like one friend is already over. So I would, if it's okay, I would like to go first, or whatever like concerns me, like push in front. It would be nice to leave in like a half an hour.
Sure. Happy birthday, Tamara.
Yeah, happy birthday, Tamara.
Happy birthday.
I already said that.
So yeah, this month, we all tried out a different method of interacting with the roles process through this form, and yeah, people were pretty slow to giving feedback on the roles process, which y'all have been robustly reminded about. Some of you guys did a great job, and some of you were really late. And so, as you know, as I've said several times, there's no real way for me to review people's feedback in a timely manner so that I can like facilitate a functional roles discussion when the feedback is coming in, you know, really any less than like 18 hours before the roles meeting. So unfortunately, this is one of those months where people were pretty bad about that. And so what I've done is I've taken some notes on some things I noticed, you know, like before there was complete feedback. However, it's not a full picture at all. And I would suggest that you know, you guys take this into your own hands a little bit more. You know, there's a couple options. I could just say, hey, I'm not facilitating this, have at it. Or I could say, everybody take, you know, 5 minutes of silent work time right now to go examine the roles sheet and pick out, you know, 5 things that you see that need to be talked about. Go and read everyone's feedback and just pick out what stands out to you. And then, you know, we can come back, I guess, and people can go through their things that they noticed. Kai could definitely go first in that instance. Yeah, but what are people thinking?
I was just thinking but if we scroll through the roles meeting, a roles sheet, but now, I mean, it takes like 10 seconds maybe to read, like, or 20 to read a full line, but you probably mean to get a full picture.
Well,
it felt like
to look
we
at
were doing this simultaneously kind of before. Like we were going through the roll sheet. So this is Bowen's column, and I was like, okay, these are the scores, and not everybody writes something there.
Well, yeah, no, what was going on before was I was doing a lot of curation work before that point, and knowing like which roles even need to be brought up. I mean, if there's like 56 roles, I think, that are active on there, and they have feedback from probably 7 people. So that's like, I don't know, how many? Several hundred, you know, feedback boxes to go through. So I don't think that it would really be a 10-second thing. However, if we decentralize it and you guys just go and pick out the ones that you think are important, then you can bring it to the table. Also, I have a list of the ones that I know need to be talked about. And I can post that in the chat here.
Hey, Lorelai, yeah, you asked for feedback on how we can improve this. I think like what you did the last 2 times process-wise is that you asked for like okay, give your feedback now at least a week before the meeting. Now there were the reminders in the agenda, but we all know that that doesn't always work with people. Like pushing personally helps because we all have full agendas, and like the thing that you did with like hanging out a first time, saying like, hey, now we're gonna work together on filling in your own detail, and then a few days later, now let's do a second call and doing the voting together. That worked pretty flawlessly last time, and now the first call happened yesterday. And it's also probably because at Denver was like last week. But I think that's also quite a big impact on why it went less smooth than normally.
Yeah. Josh wanted to speak?
Yeah, possibly it's a lack of skin in the game. People are not so participating because they don't have any investment in the roles process themselves, perhaps. I don't know how it all formed originally, but like it doesn't feel like I've co-created any roles with anyone in the way that I know or have read about roles being created. I can share with you those patterns, and perhaps maybe we should co-create things, co-create a sheet from scratch. I don't know, but it's just a suggestion.
Yeah, I mean, if someone else wanted to completely start anew and fumble for 6 months through this process, I would be fine with them doing that. I'm probably not going to help out with that because I have like been through so many different approaches of how to get you guys to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like I didn't spend 12 hours like really bugging you guys all last week, like doing the work for you. But at some point it's like you have to either like take advantage of this process. I mean, I know you all have been getting email reminders of this, several steps of this for the past week or more. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, really, like, to me, the ideal would be that you guys just start mentioning the things about roles right now, specific roles, not the roles process, that need to be mentioned, and start having the discussion.
Can I suggest that we use the average score, the points average, and we just go bottom up and start with the lowest scores and go from there? No.
I'm good.
There was no.
Sure, go ahead. That's a good idea.
The thing is the rule sheet.
Note of that Chris, for some reason, gave himself a 3 on everything. So that's going to be like offsetting things a lot. I don't think he really actually like earned a 3 on everything. So just keep that in mind.
Can maybe you have special permission, but can you? I can't change the filter. Actually, I'll make a copy because I can't. Yeah.
I just want to say something to Lorelai because she seems a little frustrated. I think this is working. Maybe this is not the best month, but I do feel that it's working better and better. And I also think it might be a little. I don't want to say naive. I don't know a better word. It's probably not the best idea to make a heavy document like this and try to condense talking about it into one meeting. Because this is like you say, this is very interesting for everybody who's here. Like if you're mentioned here, like I for sure will go there and see where the points are. And I really appreciate little like personal feedback, like, oh, what happened to this item? Because it makes me wanna, oh, okay, so on my own notes, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna talk to Lorelai about this here. And like I spin it out of this roles sheet into a, it becomes like almost 2 weeks of communication things. Not full, but I mean, like I will follow up on this, and I think it might be better to see it like this maybe, and we should use the roles meeting more for really critical stuff, or like if we see, oh, there's really a problem, and maybe even to say, oh, there is a problem, and not even try to solve the problem right now. Just try to get those crazy pointers. There's some love, there's some shame, and then keep it on the back burner for a few days, because it is heavy, and you're putting way too much on yourself, Lorelai. And don't be sad actually or angry. This is a very good outcome for a very lazy herd of unicorns. Believe me, we all tried here to get people do something before, and you're doing great.
Yeah, I definitely think there's a lot of value in taking more of the like commentary, the feedback into like offline conversations to make sure that action steps come out of them. But also I know that like this roles meeting, as the way that I've been facilitating it, has been pretty successful the past 2 months. So I am not at all proposing throwing out the format of this roles meeting. I'm just saying that you guys fucked it up this week and made me not able to do it. So like you guys can take, another facilitation process into your own hands, to try out today, right now. I gave you some options, but in no way am I suggesting that we change the whole way that we do roles meeting.
Okay, I'm gonna jump in and let's start looking at roles. Kai, I only since you got a bail, I only see one role that you got very much negative feedback on, but it's pretty low on the list of like worst roles, so it's not a big of a deal. But it is the media one. Does anyone? There was a comment from Chris that was saying the sorry, can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
There was a comment from Chris here. I lost it. There it is. On media and design. Do you have any feedback on that, Chris?
Sure. Yeah, I think when I was looking, so I took the time to do all of it thoroughly, and so I didn't want to just like give 5s, but think about it a little bit. And I think for what I struggled here with, I think that it would be good if Kai possibly added another role, because many of the things that are currently under media and design are not media and design for me. So they're like with the GovLab that's happening now, that is not media and design, that is not web infrastructure for me. And yeah, the government decision documentation role, what I heard from that Lumio is like a shared role anyway. So like the things that Kai are doing, many of the things are not following under these roles. So that's why that's just like also probably the feedback for that one.
Thanks for the feedback. Should I comment? I can. It's yeah, I mean, I agree. It's partly because I started in Giveth as like the streamer guy, and like we met often, and we had so much content to like edit and stream and like put it on YouTube. And it's like I don't want to say, oh, nothing happened here in the last month, or like just items. So maybe I kind of tend to fill up stuff that's not directly affiliated, but I hear you. And as for the thing with GovLab, is for sure not in here, but I think I did not put it here. And so I actually wanted to go over my roles anyway, like redefine them a little or define them better and see that I have no conflicting domains or accountabilities, or not, like they should all be of one, you know.
Yeah, and the important point is also that the feedback that I wrote with that and with web infrastructure was before you actually filled it in yourself, because I had I only had time before yesterday evening, so you still had to like fill out your details. So it's
I actually reacted, I think, already in my comment, which is cool. For good or bad. Like if you're the first one to write, it's great if Chris is first because you give criticism and then people can react. But it defeats the purpose of it.
So the next role that was like the next couple roles were really low. James Doc, well, social coding education with James Saki. I mean, I know I put in like he's not really around.
That's the problem there is that Bowen was supposed to communicate with him and get an update on his roles. You know, what if he has a passive role, if he's someone to be called upon, what could be for the future. And it's been like at least 2 roles process cycles now where he was supposed to do that comms and bring that back to us. And he at least hasn't brought anything back to us. I don't know if he's done this. But at this point, I mean, I'd be happy to just message James and chat with him. Because James Zaki has no idea that he has a piece in this sheet. I don't think this is Bowen's field, but Bowen's not here.
And this is the same with Deem, right?
Well, not about Bowen, but
for Deem, we actually said last time that to delete this technical support or whatever it was and make a new section, which I did, which should not be voted on. I think actually it's just like informative. Sorry, what?
And you put Deem in the section down there?
Well, did I? Yeah, for Wall of Fame. So I asked him, are you actually all around? And he's like, yeah, for Wall of Fame, you can ask me a little. But if we drop more and more the Wall of Fame, I think Wall of Fame should go to Frederick. Dean was saying to me he's pretty much out for maintenance. But Frederick was maintenance. I'll change it.
That roll down to your other section down there.
Yes. Do you mean you want to still have this role, like one technical support go-to person?
I mean, of course, there's like lots of people that do those things. I just mean that like the maintainer and support of Wall of Fame role for Deem is like pretty empty. So maybe I don't. Maybe just copying some of that info into that role before we completely delete the technical support line.
All right.
Okay. So then another role is Gov Circle Maintainer with Josh. Looks like Lorelai, you were saying that these roles need to be combined?
Yeah, there's like a lot in the Gov decision documentation and then the wiki Gov content owner that are overlapping, and also a little bit of that Gov circle maintainer role. And now that Kai proposed this new like Gov host role that's shared by the triad, like it pretty much envelops all three of those things. So it's kind of like old information on this role sheet, and somebody needs to make a new line that's just for the Gov host role, and all of that into.
Okay, is there someone who you think would be best? Can you nominate someone?
Well, since Kai proposed the Lumio, I think he'd be really good at it. But if he doesn't want to do it, I'll do it.
Nah, I can do it. Just for the clarity, so we're talking about number 24. Number 24.
Okay.
Number 35.
Shall we move them together?
Oh, don't be crazy, no. and which was the third one? That's maybe a question.
31.
31? All right. Okay. So I'm gonna consolidate those and show it to Lorelai and Josh for the next two roles process.
Okay, cool. And then there is a content edit. Well, Chris voted himself down on a lot of them, but the only other one that got some big negative downvotes was content editor. I know I had a comment on this, just that the content, getting content from like contributors, putting it in to actually like being published has been like kind of a slow process. And for the content editor role, it would be nice if it kind of failed open, where it's like, oh, I guess we just put out too much content too fast, as opposed to failing closed, where it's like too little content too slow.
Yeah, I read your feedback on that. I think my low points were mostly there for that I just had a slow few weeks, so that's that didn't help for sure. And slow weeks were just personal stuff. So that's gonna like ramp up again. But I am interested. So also like the token bonding curve stuff and so on, and catching up on that now. But I do not completely get the feedback on like if you're thinking about specific posts that didn't get reviewed quickly enough, because there were some that I did rework quite a bit, because sometimes it's really like then an image had to be created. So then I asked for an image and like nothing happened by Adam. So I had to go and let someone create the image myself. But like these things didn't seem like time sensitive. So if it's not time sensitive, I don't stress about it. But let me know if there's something that you're like, whoa, this really needs to go out today, then I know it. But nothing that passed in the past month seemed like really time sensitive, I thought.
Yeah, I guess it's more of a structural system thing of just like, being less of a filter and more of a edit, like less of a block and that you have to a hurdle that you have to overcome, and more of a filter where it's like, oh yeah, look, okay, you can just freely publish, on Giveth. Oh wait, there's this issue and this issue, and then if you're not there or it doesn't stop it, it just like it's like a optional reviewer or creating some sort of system where it just flows faster and because also, if people publish to the blog, it can always be edited later and these kinds of things. I don't know. It's just it's a thought. Like sometimes it seems like it's too hard to get things through sometimes, you know. But
no, but it's good feedback.
There was something specific, but I can't remember what it was. I told Lorelai about it. Lorelai, do you remember which one it was?
This was probably the funding post.
The what post?
The funding.
The anonymous donor.
Yeah. The anonymous donor.
Yeah, well, the anonymous donor is a perfect example of a post that like was not had to be rewritten, and that also took me some time to like make it into something that was clearer. So that was a thing, and then I have to wait back for feedback and like different time zones and so on. But I knew that's one there that I felt your impatience. But I don't want to be I don't want to be a bottleneck. The reason I'm doing it is just because I personally I know how I'm turned off by like texts with typos and sentences that like and that are just grammatically completely incorrect. The text, for example, that Puzzlard put out on Right Idea, I sent him a direct message to tell him like, Puzzlard, never hesitate to like at least put it in the communications channel, because it's a really good explanation, but half of the sentences just are really not English, and that like diminishes like the message, and that's something I really hate seeing. That's all.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't want to be a bottleneck, so message received. I'll see how well, suggestions are welcome always.
Yeah, remember, it's roles, not souls. You are the hardest person on yourself. Everyone else gave you mostly 5s, so...
He needed love. He needed love so badly, he gave himself 3s all over. Right over, man. I come right over. If you like I want to take this second. Thank you so much for this nice process. I'm going to watch the rest of this.
Okay, see you, Kai.
Yes, I did want to, that was one of my notes to ask about, is like, what is this halftime you're talking about? Like, have you been working halftime? Do you feel like you were half as effective, or you said half speed? Do you feel like you were half as effective, or you were spending half as much time? Like, are you working on other things? Did it feel good to be like working less on it? Or yeah, I want to know more about this.
Oh no, it's like just some family trouble. Let's say some. You heard the beginnings of it when we met, I think, and that's the thing. So I think I worked less hours and I worked less effective, so it didn't feel good at all. I felt like shit in the past weeks. So I had a very lousy month, but I feel like I'm getting like back up to speed and catching up on stuff. So that's why. So no, it's not a good feeling when that happens. I'm way too perfectionist for that.
Yeah.
Sorry to hear some stuff has been heading down, Chris.
Yeah, that's life. It's okay. But thanks for the love.
Yeah, one love always. Yeah, if I can make that simple. Always have difficulty.
Another role that was that got some feedback was budgeting by Lansky. Obviously, Lansky isn't here, and the role wasn't really filled out. But does anyone have any ideas on what we should do with the budgeting role?
Well, I heard that Wojtek filled in something that we found at the Unicorn VAC of making like a sheet. That happened, right? And then I think indeed it was Lansky who was going to follow up on it. So yeah, if he's not, we'll have to give that role to someone else. But if there's a sheet now for transparency, it would be cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, something happened there. I remember talking to Lansky about this myself. And I need to check if I think something was created by Wojtek. But I'm not sure how deep it goes in terms of what we were looking for. I mean, one of the things I wanted to do was integrate our budgeting, like our forecasting for fundraising in with our expenses, so we could get an estimate of how we could, break even, or if we're in the positive or negative and that kind of stuff.
So, Michael, are you going to follow up with him about that?
Yeah, I'll take on that to double check again, see where we're at.
So I think in general, also, Chris, maybe this is like sort of a moment for you and me as Lansky's uncles to check in a little, because he's been absent in several ways.
Yeah, I agree. I think it could be. I did chat actually last night with him, because when I say home problems, it's also with like being sick and yeah, physical shit happening. So I had like another sleepless night, and so I think at like 6 a.m. he sent me a message for a presentation he was doing about Giveth. So he is doing something.
Yeah.
But we'll have to check. But I was just thinking about like this document. To me, this is actually the perfect kind of role he could do, because budgeting and so on, you don't need to be in the same time zone. So I do hope he will find some time to not lose that role.
Yeah.
But we'll check. We'll push it a bit.
So you, me, and Michael are all gonna check in.
Yep.
So let's see. And a lot of these are people that aren't here. Griff, there was definitely a theme from a lot of the feedback for you that people are missing you, like looping in the Giveth community to these like dreams that you're pulling the Giveth trajectory towards. And yeah, wondering what you want to do with that, if anyone else wants to add to that.
Which role are we on?
I don't know. I'm looking at my notes from the roll sheet. I'm not looking at the feedback. It was in several roles. Like this was a common feedback in several of your roles.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know which role to put it under, but I definitely could. I mean, this trajectory really is still kind of experimental, and it's not an option unless it's like I guess it might be under the strategy role, maybe. That I feel like this week it really got a huge kick forward. And I looped in a lot of people in person, and I've been trying to loop people in through the meetings, but I don't have we haven't really like, we're supposed to be publishing more blog posts, but we have kind of like been slow to make that. We've been more focused on community building than content creation. So
yeah,
it's I'm hoping content creation can come up, and definitely like I had it on like the governance, the community meeting. It was like the last point that could have been brought up, but we ran out of time. So
okay, so strategy one. I mean, people have been asking for a strategy meeting for several months, and the whole time there's been this understanding that in large part that's like a lot to do with you know, talking. It would basically be you talking with the community, the internal Giveth community a lot. And wonder like why hasn't that happened yet?
I don't have the bandwidth to really initiate any meetings beyond the ones that exist. So I'm happy to attend, but I can't. I don't have the bandwidth to do cat herding.
To be honest, I think that it did happen at more than one times, even because you did like drop in parts of the puzzle, Griff, at points. We talked in the in more than one of the community meetings about it. At some point, you were talking about the 6 tracks. You also did an interview with Josh, but that didn't get followed up on. And so I think there might, because I wrote like the biggest feedback part there for you, but it was like I also put it in the feedback. I think it's also a bit of my personal frustration but it's like because we are shifting gears. You are like building. By now I now kind of know how your head works. You're like rebuilding like the storyline, and like I've seen you in the different calls that you in the Griff riff, and in the previous one I watched, you're telling the same story about like the commons and so on. So like it's something like this also takes a little bit of time. So I personally think that we're not missing any meetings and that we don't need an extra meeting. I do think that we need a number of articles, and I want to I like talking to Jeff has helped me a lot in like understanding it better and being able to also digest it and trying to form a story. And if we have that story and people read this, people will feel more informed again. So I think that will solve itself. That's my personal feedback. The feedback that I did give on a role is like, I don't, and that's especially why I would push back on a strategy meeting. To me, a strategy meeting would be like something that we like decide on together. If it's just like Griff having another meeting where Griff is like explaining what Griff wants Giveth to be, that's not really very DAC. So
Well,
I think
that because that's the only strategy that's really going on is Griff doing his own thing.
Well, hold on. There's just to also jump into this conversation. I mean, one of the things I was trying to do was start a series of meetings around the token bonding curves and the curation markets and the DAO stuff, which Griff was part of that meeting. We had Parker and Jeff, Danny, and we had this sort of subgroup, and it was part of that was to, I think, and maybe Josh, and we were trying to kind of just make sure that some of the actors that have been involved with the DApp and so forth are kind of up to speed with what's going on. And we did have one, but we definitely, I mean, for me anyways, I wanted to kind of keep that going and sort of evolve that so that it sort of turned into that sort of that content. But I mean, even myself have dropped the ball on that. So it's something also in my mind to kind of pick up.
Yeah, I think we need less initiatives, but just some that are like really maintained. Because I also see you writing there, Josh. Another catch-up article. Actually, I think what I wanted to do now was listen to the interview that you did with Griff, and combined with the things that Josh and I talked about, and like start writing it now. Like this is like and the 6 tracks that Griff also in the community meeting, Griff at some point explained the 6 tracks. The 6 tracks, I think, are a perfect way to explain to the outside world, this is where, in what direction Giveth is going. But yeah, I don't want to like hijack it. Everyone is welcome to like start something, but we just have to like make sure that it actually happens now.
Michael, can you say again more clearly what your action step is that you were just talking about?
So, I mean, so what I was trying to do was because I felt like there was a little bit of a disconnect in terms of knowledge sharing. So I brought Danny, Griff, Jeff, Parker, and maybe one other person that I can't remember now, into a meeting to kind of go over where we're going with the DApp, and just to make sure that, you know, the people that are very active in the DApp were aware. And also I want to try to bring Parker back into the picture because he's a good writer, and if he could help with some of that writing, he could. And you know, part of it, I hosted the first meeting. Jeff was intending to kind of take it forward on some of the token bonding curve work too, to kind of, and then use it as a space where we can kind of synergize efforts and do that planning. That was all. It's sort of a little bit. It was more of a working group rather than a group to write about what's going on for external audiences, though.
So you're telling me like what you did or you were doing, but I was actually asking what is. You said I sort of dropped the ball on something, and I want to be clear and write down in your next actions what your next step is to pick the ball back up again.
Yeah, I think I did. I'll check in my roll sheet, but
Okay, that's awesome. I just want to make sure. It sounds like you came to something there. I want to make sure it doesn't get lost.
Yeah, no, it's not lost.
Okay,
Thanks.
cool. Griff, also in your last roll sheet in the Ethereum spokesperson role, you had mentioned a vision doc that you were writing or making. What is that? And are you making it still? What's the status?
It's kind of definitely been fallen to the wayside. It was with MakerDAO. That MakerDAO application kind of turned into a vision doc and an alignment opportunity. And I definitely have dropped the ball on that. Michael and I have been kind of editing it slowly when there's a moment, but we haven't made progress. I mean, it's been like a really slow game of tennis, basically. And I think I sat on it for like 3 weeks before I edited anything. And I do think that it's important to look at, but it's still like, I guess the way I see things is that there's kind of like, we have this stable DApp and we have that we need to build off of, and we have our newest release, and we need to like stick with that strategy, and we need to stay like focused on what we have and not bring, just because I'm going off in another world doesn't mean everyone else needs to, because it's risky in this other world and it could easily fall flat. And if we put all of our eggs in that basket, then we won't have any eggs if it does. So we need to stay focused on what we have, which is a beautiful DApp with transparency and this whole like token bonding curve curation market thing. Yeah, I'm pushing it really hard, but that's not necessarily like what we need to be putting all of our attention on.
Yeah, and that came up for me like when Michael, you said something earlier when we were talking about UNICEF, where it was like, oh, Giveth doing token bonding curve stuff, and like the DApp team is completely not interested in that. So how could we possibly like step on each other's toes? And that's like so limiting. Like Giveth is not a token bonding curve organization.
No, I know, but I wasn't trying to say that though.
I'm still talking. And in fact, we have like a lot more in common with them than we have different, I think. So like remembering, like we need to still have some like visionary, like, leadership and alignment that's like on what we have. That's not just this stuff that we're exploring. Griff, I also wanted to ask about the hiring thing. Your recruitment role, because you're in Tijuana right now, like working on recruitment, and I'm curious, like, does this recruitment role mean just that, like reaching out and like drumming up interest, or does it also mean hiring? And like, what are your domains? Like, are you gonna straight up hire somebody from this trip, and is there a community process around that at all, or is it more your personal project?
I mean, at this point, this is something that we've been working on for a long time. Basically, we have funds that go to develop the DApp. So whoever, I mean, and that's just been a process that happens. Of course, now that there's a name which just popped up yesterday night, I can make it more of a community process. But I think I thought I made a Lumio around something like this about the like potential of hiring someone from Tijuana.
Something
I thought I did.
I don't know. Yeah, I can't remember it, but yeah, I think you did.
I thought I did. But either way, it's like it's kind of a no-brainer. RJ and Wojtek are $60 an hour, and and they're neither of them want to work on the DApp anymore. We can get someone in Tijuana we can get someone in Tijuana for under $20 an hour who's a really good dev. Like I don't know if, I mean, yes, now that there's a name I can make a Lumio, but it's kind of like you know, I don't necessarily feel like I need to make I need to run no brain decisions on financial things through everybody. I'm just gonna
Yeah,
like
sure.
throw it out there.
Chris had some feedback that was asking about that. So.
Yeah. So indeed, like, what was the logic there, and who's the person? So I think I got that now, but I agree. Like, because you said at some point, even I still have to make a Lumio about that one, but it's what you just said. To me, it makes no sense to make a Lumio for something that you've actually already decided, because that feels like that you're like it feels a bit fake. But I know you don't mean it like that. But like, let's only do Lumios for things that actually need to be decided by the community. Doesn't if it's I think it's a no brainer, and I think it's a good decision. But yeah, no need for but it's good to like inform us on like why before it happens or something, or like, or what the thought process is sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of this stuff is happening in the DAP meetings, and it's definitely, you know, and the DAP has its own like structure that needs to be supported and requirements, and in general, DAP funding is within the DAP circle, so it's not necessarily always a unicorn thing either.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like we just gotta, yeah, in these decentralized organizations, man, it's hard to get everyone informed about all the things, and I just can't imagine that everyone wants to be informed about all the things either. So, like, yeah, there'll be, you know, when decisions are affecting everybody, then for sure, obviously, it needs to happen. But you know, things move really fast, and I don't even like. Literally last night, I found out that it's going to be Jorge who's going to work for Super Cheap, which is a guy who will get on the roll sheet and will integrate into the process. But I got on board him, and hey, maybe he turned. I don't think it's going to happen, but maybe this all falls through. So,
I do think that Lumio can be a good like tool for participation, even when it's not like an outright let's make a decision on this. I think I just wanted to kind of respond to that, Chris, that like sometimes I feel like, yeah, the way it works in Giveth culture is it just like pulls people's eyes towards something and gets them to put perspectives online, even if there's no binding decision out of it. So
Yeah, sure. I think in some points it makes sense. I think in this occasion, like Griff just announcing that it was going to happen in the Giveth Unicorns, to me personally, that suffices already, because there was not a whole lot more to tell about it or to explain about it.
It'd be nice to have ways to signal better to each other, but like, yeah, things just happen, man. Like, you got to take a ball, run with it, and then hit the goal and hope that no one gets angry. Like, that's my experience anyway. Right.
yeah, basically Rafa threw a bun at me, and it's like, oh, this bun is hot and sticky, and we need to dive in.
Yeah. Like, it'd be great, though, at the same time to have signaling tools, because there's like a lot of things that I'd also like to like find out. How do people feel about things like polling, for instance, of just like how general sentiment polling would be really useful in this spot, which is one of the reasons I'm so like, everyone work together. Come on, let's do a 2-person meeting, do some work, 3-person meeting, do some work together, because that way you diffuse the knowledge and you kind of get the opinions and all that. But if we do these meetings where we're kind of stuck in a little box that's like this on our screens, where we can't even really talk over each other properly without being rude, because like that happens online, whereas it doesn't happen in real life. You know, there's these kind of weird things about it. So if we have a way to just like diffuse and get sentiment polled in, it'd be really nice. But you know, we can't do a vote on everything. I've done consensus-based decision making and it doesn't work. Consent-based, I think, has like a better thing to it. But none of them are perfect. Sorry, I just went on.
Well, you know, do we have any praise that, because I assume this rules meeting is over in 8 minutes, right? Or does it keep going? Well, do we have any praise for this month?
Yeah, I'm really enjoying shit coming together in all kinds of ways and weird emergencies.
Yeah, I would say, although, and that's not to counter my own criticism I gave, in a sense, like I gave some lower scores on Griff, but at the same time, I actually want to give praise to Griff because I know how your agenda was this month, and I know it, and I see everything that all the output that is coming. So it is sometimes a bit difficult, and for that reason, frustrating to like stay in the loop. But I would just say like praise for everything that you're doing because it feels very right, the direction we're going, and like I'm trying to catch up on everything that you're working on. But thanks for all the energy for everything that you're doing. That's my praise of the month.
Yeah, I want to give praise to Lorelei on the roles form. That was really nice. Actually, it made it really easy to fill out next actions and projects. And I think it, and in general, just making sure that the team structure is happening. Major praise there.
I wanted to give some praise to Josh too for all the work he's doing on the hackathons and the Odyssey stuff. Sounds fantastic, and seems like you're on top of everything. So it's great work.
Chris, I really appreciated how you've been like reaching out in the past couple weeks towards like when you're not confused about something or like feel like you're being left out of details or something because people are like whirlwinding at events. I just thought you did a really great job this month at like stepping in and like being, you know, outspoken about the pieces you need and
yeah,
all that, and not ever relying, like never falling back on like, oh well, someone's not including me, so I can't do my job. Like just being super proactive.
Thank you. I don't think I did enough, but it's nice to hear. Thanks.
I want to praise the DAP as well. The DAP, I don't think the DAP had any like major catastrophes this month, which is just huge. And like the new release is really exciting, and it just feels like we're about to hit a real nice milestone. We have one more, you know, catastrophic release to integrate that I think the plan is just to let RJ's just going to push it because we haven't been doing a good job at testing. So RJ's just going to push it and then be on call to fix everything.
No, he's not. He's not going to put. No, he's not going to push it.
He's not.
No, we're going to test it with the community first, and then we're going to push it. Yeah.
Okay. Good luck with that. Well, yeah. Well, either way, the new release looks really nice too. I'm so excited for optional reviewers, unlimited milestones, milestones that can take, ether or die. Like it's really exciting, and the progress that the DAP has been making this month has been really good. So I think that's praise for the whole DAP team, especially considering what December and January was like. What is just major turnaround. So and also praise on the Grace Aid, being able to do the Grace Aid donation and point to the Grace Aid Medium post and be like, yo, what's Grace Aid, MakerDAO? Oh, here's this Medium post. I mean, they didn't read it, but like eventually they got, you know, the fact that we could hand them like this beautiful post that says, oh yeah, Grace Aid is is a real thing that you can raise money on with Giveth. It made everything so nice. It made it really easy to sell them on. Oh, how about why are you donating to UNICEF at Denver? Donate half of it to Grace Aid. Or I tried to get them to donate the whole thing, but they had already collected donations for UNICEF, so they wouldn't change it all the way. But
thanks, Griff, for being the warrior to at least redirect some of the funds.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's people not in this meeting right now that I would like to praise, but I suppose
you can praise them
another time.
Praise
They can
them.
watch the video.
Praise them, then they'll know what they missed out.
Yeah, I was excited to see Bowen coming out of his shell and putting himself out there to be a social coding lead at F Denver, and yeah, I just am excited for him being that interpersonal face-to-facing leader, because everybody knows how well, if you're lucky enough to have met him, everybody knows how good it feels to face-to-face with Bowen and hang out and have him be your point of contact and to Giveth. So I'm excited and praising him in that.
Cool. Well, it's 8 o'clock exactly. I don't know if I have any other meetings, but I probably do. So maybe we should call it. Thank you guys. I guess we do checkout round. I'll start. Thank you guys. It was a great meeting. Great 2 meetings. Always fun to hang and chill with the herd. So I feel like we got some things done. Actually, one thing that was missing from this meeting is there's probably roles we need to add. That I don't know if there was space for that, but they'll get up there this month. I'll pass it to Lorelei.
Yeah, Griff, can you make a role for the new dev that you're hoping to hire and just put that on the sheet even before things are finalized? Because it's kind of like a job listing.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, thanks, guys. I appreciate y'all's participation, and I should say that most of you actually did a pretty good job with doing this stuff in time. There was just a couple people that really slowed it down and made me unable to prepare for that reason. So, just assume that's not you and take the praise. Yeah, but still there was barely anybody in this meeting even, so I don't really know how far we got with this, but I appreciate you guys sticking through it. Onwards, upwards. Josh?
Yeah, great meeting. It's always good to come into meetings, find out what's crackling, find where we can close some loops and catch up and deal with herds and all that. So yeah, good meeting again. Or good 2 meetings since we're checking out of 2 of them. Otherwise, yeah, I'll pass it to Chris.
Yes, good 2 meetings. I would say if I have to pick out of the 3 or 4 roles meetings that we did, although we got work done, of course, vibe-wise, this is my least favorite one. The other ones I got out very much energized, and that's because Lorelei did her great kind of team building exercise thingies that took up most of the meetings last time, and I really enjoyed that. I hope we can have one again next time. And I know we couldn't really do it now also because some people were a bit late with their feedback probably, so that we had to talk a bit about this. But I do hope that we can do this again, because I truly believe that people will read their feedback anyways and they will follow up. It's what Kai said before, there's like this ripple effect of about two weeks still from this rules meeting every time, because you think and digest the feedback you get. So I think the biggest work is done before. So I hope like next month that we can like at least a week before have like our preparatory meetings again, and that will help with having less of a feeling of frustration, and Lorelai giving herself a 4 for this because she deserves a 5. Long check out, giving it to Michael, and thank you.
Yeah, good 2 meetings. And I agree with Chris. I think the feedback is very, very useful. Even though we didn't discuss everything, we didn't ran out of time, but I think it's something I'm going to take a look at offline too. So it's very useful. I think it's a useful process, and I'll pass it back to Lorelai.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, maybe just going forward, if you're chatting with someone who wasn't in this meeting, just kind of poke them and remind them to look at the feedback they got on the roll sheet and watch the video if they can, or just share with them in your chats things that are relevant to them. I would appreciate that a lot. And yeah, that's all. See you guys. On the flip side, I'm going to do big unicorn TAC audit for all those milestones and see if they actually got funded. That's my next project, and finding a way